Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, wherever you're watching me from. My name is Dr. Obiorah Mbah, Igbo, reaching you from Nkolo Mahadum, Wisdom University. Thank you for joining me. Today's date is Eke Market Day in the 4th month in Igbo calendar. Igbo calendar is lunar, follows lunar calendar. And the Roman Catholic calendar, today's date is 14th of May, 2024. Like we always advise you at Nkolo Mahadum, always mention your local calendar first. For example, in Igbo, go with your Igbo calendar first before the foreign Roman Catholic calendar will come behind if you need it, you know? So today's lecture, the title of today's lecture is The Transatlantic Slave Trade Developed Europe, North America, Brazil, and others. You know, after our last two lectures, where we talked about how the Papal Bull encouraged the land grabbing, and also how it led to all the cultures that they imposed on the people remaining in Africa. There's one good one, like the title of today's lecture, that we need to also let you know. Because after they have grabbed all the land, they needed people to come and work on those lands. And so after the Papal Bull of 1452 authorized the Europeans to go to places and grab lands and grab the people and so on, it opened the door for people to be moved forcefully from their land to foreign lands to work to develop the foreign lands. And so that's why the slave trade started also in the 15th century. The large-scale transatlantic slave trade started in the 15th century because there are other slave trades going on, of which Nkolo Mahadum will also address in the next couple of lectures. But today, we just want to bring all the lectures together to tell you what happened after the Europeans got the authority to invade and get lands, and then now what they did and whom they used to develop those lands. And so the transatlantic slave trade started in the 15th century when the European colonial forces of Britain, France, Spain, Portugal, and Netherlands. Netherlands is what you call Dutch. Also Belgium. In fact, all of them in Western Europe, they were all participants in this transatlantic slave trade. And so the labor from these slaves is what developed their countries. It is African slaves mainly that developed Europe. The way you are looking at Europe today, or America, or Brazil, it is our ancestors that really developed them. And I'll give you some timelines. Like in 1441, the Portuguese, because they were the first in Africa, in West Africa, they brought in only 12 slaves. Only 12 slaves. But soon after, the Pope authorized them, approved the grabbing of land and people and resources. The number increased tremendously. And so the first slaves arrived in the New World in 1502. In 1502, that was when the first slaves arrived in the New World. The New World is what they call Brazil and the Americas and the rest. And in 1560, the slave trading of Brazil became regular, with about 2,005 to 6,000 slaves kidnapped and transported annually. In 1637, the Dutch, which is the Netherlands, joined the Portuguese, Brazil, and Spain in the slave trading. Because before it was Portugal is the first, followed by Brazil, and then Spain. But now the Dutch have to join them. The slave trade lasted from 1441 and ended in 1888. In fact, the last country to stop slave trade was Brazil in 1888. So for a total of 447 years, Africans were transported from Africa to Europe, West Europe, America, Brazil, and so many other parts of the world. It's on record that about 10 million of our people, of Africans, were carried forcefully from our land to Europe and America, Brazil, and others. About 10 million. And out of this 10 million, about 5 million went to Brazil. So Brazil is one of the biggest beneficiaries of this slave trade, because that's where you have the plantations. And so what does these slaves do? Many of them work in the plantations, because the Europeans now, after they acquire all those lands, they now set up so many plantations. They have so many farmlands. And so in the plantations, these slaves, these are brothers and sisters. Some of them are picking the cottons, harvesting sugar, planting and harvesting rice, harvesting tobacco, growing and harvesting coffee, working in the dairy, weaving, washing clothes, butchering, and preserving. Very few of them worked in factories. Others also, like the women mainly also were working as cooks, domestic servants, midwives, and nurses, in addition to picking cotton and also planting in the plantations. But most of the males also are carpenters. They were carpenters. They were ship builders. They build the ships. They are sealers. They are iron molders. They lay the railroad tracks, the railroad of Western Europe and America and Brazil, Australia, New Zealand, all Canada, all those European countries, Western European countries. Because when we say Europeans means Western Europe, which is Britain, France, Germany, Portugal, Belgium, Netherlands, United States of America, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, and then Australia, New Zealand, and others. But Jamaica, because Jamaica was their territory also at that time. And so it was these African slaves, our brothers and sisters, our ancestors, that really developed the European lands. They are the ones that developed European lands. And before I continue, I will urge you please to subscribe to our YouTube channel, like our program, comment, so that we know how you enjoy the program. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and also share our programs. Share it to your friends and family members. Those who doesn't have internet access, tell them what you are learning here. That after the Europeans were given the authority to grab lands and kill people and take over their land, after they secured all those assets, the next thing is to look for labor to build their land. And where did they get that labor? From Africa, from our ancestors. Even they do place some advertisements during that slavery that a ship is coming from Gold Coast. Gold Coast is like ship coming from Ghana. Slave Coast is like ship coming from Biafra land. That slaves are coming with 300 people, with 400 people, young people, women and children. They're looking for buyers. They place adverts in newspapers for people to wait for the slaves and buy them. And so, even the first ship that transported slaves to America is called Jesus of Lubeck. The first ship that transported slaves from Africa to America is called Jesus of Lubeck. And everybody, almost everybody in Europe and America and Brazil, all those countries today, New Zealand, Australia, almost all of them benefited from the slavery. All their leaders, they all agreed on it. All the churches benefited. The Catholic Church, the Presbyterian, Methodist, whatever you call them, all of them benefited from slavery. And so, what you have to take away as a Biafran, as an African, from this lecture today, is that after the Europeans had authority from the Pope to grab the lands and the people and everything, after they got it, the next thing they did is to look for labor. And who was the laborer? Who was the slave? It was our ancestors, our blood. They are the ones that built those countries today. The countries you see as very beautiful, very this and that, was built by our ancestors. And have we received anything, any thank you? Even when they did everything they did and wanted to hand over, did they really give us a full economic independence? In Kolomahadum, you have to reason. Use your common sense. Know where the thing, where you're being, who is causing you pain. Know where your pain is coming from. Don't pretend as if you don't know. That's why Nkola Mahadum is here. To lecture you, to tell you things from Biafran and African perspective. Whatever we are teaching you, whatever we are lecturing, we're lecturing it from the angle how a Biafran will be seeing things. A correct Biafran and a correct African. Not those that are brainwashed. Nkola Mahadum is not brainwashed by anybody. We see things the way it should be seen by a Biafran and an African. So you should reason. Reason with your common sense. Know what is going on. Know how what is going on in other places is affecting you in Africa. That's why Nkola Mahadum is here, to help you to understand your world. And for you to know a lot of things were done to our ancestors who were forcefully taken for slavery. Do you know that they used iron to mark their bodies? Do you know that they were chained like dogs? Do you know that they are being sold like animals? Do you know that sometimes the males are taken away and the woman and the child is left for the colonial master, for the slave master? Do you know that? Do your own research. Do your own research about what happened to our ancestors for you to know. Nkola Mahadum is only guiding you. We are encouraging you to do your own research, perform your own research on issues, on lectures presented at Nkola Mahadum, so that you can learn more. So you can understand that Nkola Mahadum is correct, to let you know. And like we said, our lectures at Nkola Mahadum, we have to always try to make it short so that you can have time to look at it, listen to the lecture, assimilate it, and then take action. Understand your world. So, in conclusion, we are telling you today in this lecture that the transatlantic slave trade, that is the trade across the Atlantic to Europe and the America and Brazil and others, developed Europe, America, Brazil, and others. And majority of the countries in Western Europe participated. America participated. All the churches participated. All their leaders participated in the slave trade, in selling human beings like them. Imagine a human being selling a human being like you, like animals. You like it? You will say it's been a long time, you should forget it? Is that how to reason? That's why Nkola Mahadum is here, to let you know. So you can think right. Think right and do right. Don't just shove things back and say, oh, it doesn't matter. Yes, it matters. The slave trade and what they meted on Africans is affecting me and you today. You don't know? Before I continue, please subscribe to our YouTube page. Like our page, comment. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter. And enjoy our lectures. Go to our previous lectures, because our lectures are designed for you. Our lectures are designed to make you better, to make you understand your world. Go back to our previous lectures. It's important. And again, we at Nkola Mahadum is thanking you for joining us today. And before we end this lecture, we will not stop until we beg you to support Eastern Security Network. Eastern Security Network is the only security outfit that is driving Fulani herdsmen terrorists from our farmlands, our bushes, and our forests, so that our people can go to the farm, so that our farmers can farm and put food on the table, so that we cannot be Fulanized. You know, the camps, the terrorist camps in the bushes is where they take off to launch attacks. And that's why, if you are a true Biafran, you must support the Eastern Security Network. And we shall be ending this lecture with this. My name is Obiorah Mbah, Igbo Weze. Thank you very much for listening, and have a good day.